Most leaders do not need more information. You are not starving for one more podcast episode. You're not one book away from finally achieving clarity. You're not missing one magical framework that will suddenly make leadership feel clean and simple. I wish those things were true, but they're not. What you're missing is access. You're missing the ability to reach for the right guidance in the exact moment that leadership stops being theoretical and starts being painfully real. Because leadership does not break you in a big dramatic moment. Leadership wears you down in the tiny moments. It wears you down in the Tuesday morning conversation that you didn't really plan for. It wears you down when an employee is late again and you are trying to decide if this is a coaching moment, a boundary moment, or if it's the beginning of a bigger cultural leak. It wears you down when a client sends a message that sounds small, but your nervous system knows this is the start of a fire. It wears you down when you're laying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, running the same decision through your head for the 20th time because you cannot tell if you're being too soft or too intense. That's the world that leaders actually live in. And most leaders are trying to survive that space by outsourcing their own mind. You call someone, you schedule something, you pay someone, you wait. And in the meantime, the moment passes and the team feels the delay. And then you're left with the quiet realization that you're spending an absurd amount of time and money just to get unstuck on things that should not be owning you. This is what empowerment intelligence exists to destroy. Now let me say it plainly. Emmy is not a cute add-on. It's not a nice tool. It is not another leadership toy for people who collect content like trophies. If you're looking for that, look somewhere else. Emmy is a line clearly drawn in the sand because leaders are exhausted. It's not because they're incapable. They're exhausted because they have been trained into a model where leadership means carrying everything alone until you finally collapse or finally hire the next person to hold all the weight for you. I'm done with that model. The seed for Emmy was planted in the least glamorous way imaginable. A former client called me on a weekend. Not uncommon, but a little bit unique. Now, it wasn't a crisis, wasn't filing bankruptcy, not a total disaster. An employee was late for their shift. That was it. And he was stuck. Here was a smart, driven, deeply capable leader, frozen over something simple and repeatable. And what hit me was not frustration toward him, not at all. It was more like grief. Because this is what happens to leaders everywhere. Brilliant people get reduced. And it's not because they're weak. It's because the constant drip of small decisions shrinks them. Leadership becomes paper cuts. Leadership becomes endless interruptions. Leadership becomes managing the small until you forget that you were ever building something big. That's what broke my heart in that phone call. This man did not need me. He needed support in the moment. He needed a way to reach for wisdom without renting another human being's brain every time life got slightly complicated. And I remember thinking with a mix of annoyance and sadness, why is this the system? Why is the default that leaders have to outsource themselves just to keep moving? Why are we acting like leadership requires a subscription to someone else's mind? And the answer was pretty obvious. Everything he needed was already built inside Leaders Evolution. We already built it. Hundreds of lessons, dozens of different pathways through those, years of distilled leadership truth, all in one convenient place. The problem was not the lack of resources. The problem was that leadership does not wait politely for you to log into a course. Leadership shows up at inconvenient times. Leadership shows up when you're driving, when you're tired, when you're on a weekend. It's always when you're already carrying too much. So I asked the question that changed everything. What if the answer could meet you right there? What if leadership support was not something you had to chase down all the time? What if guidance was not something that you had to buy from a person sitting behind a calendar link? What if the tools could speak in the moment? That is Emmy. Empowered Intelligence is the command center that puts the depth of leaders' evolution right into your hands immediately. Here's the part that matters the very most. Emmy is not about making leadership easy. Leadership was never supposed to be easy. Emmy makes leadership freeing because the goal, it's not really comfort. The goal is capacity. The goal is not to remove the challenge. The goal is to stop wasting your life on unnecessary stuckness. The goal is to stop shrinking into the small. And I want to destroy the most dangerous misconception that I hear all the time in modern leadership. And that's that growth comes from more external dependence. That the next coach is going to save you. That the next consultant is going to solve you. That the next expert will finally give you exactly what you need. I'm sorry, but that is not leadership. That's delayed adulthood. Now, the best leaders that I know, they aren't the ones that have the most advisors. They're the ones who have learned how to access wisdom, take ownership, and move with courage inside the real world. Emmy simply accelerates that, not by replacing your judgment, but by sharpening it. Not by making you dependent, by making you dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous to all those old habits that held you back. Dangerous to the hesitation that causes frustration. Dangerous to the version of leadership that keeps asking permission to act. I saw this in a client who needed a very serious new marketing push. Their old model, outsource it, figure it out from someone else, pay someone to do it for us, wait for the expert. Instead, she used Emmy as a catalyst. She brought the question, she brought the team. She even brought the responsibility back into the room. And her people built it. They executed it. They grew. Guess what happened? The campaign blew the doors off, not because some guru descended from the mountain, but because leadership woke up inside the company. That is the wave. That's what I care about. I'm not interested in leaders who stay stuck paying other people forever. I am interested in leaders who rise. If you're listening to this and you feel that ache, that sense that you're tired of waiting, tired of wasting time, tired of outsourcing your own growth, then hear me very clearly. This is why Emmy exists. So you stop shrinking. So you stop stalling. So you stop spending money just to borrow clarity. The answers are already inside of you. Leaders' Evolution is designed to draw them out. Emmy is built to make them accessible when you actually need them. This is not a launch and this is not hype. This is the inevitable next step. LeadersThatRise.com. Go get it. No more waiting. No more wasted time. No more renting someone else's brain for problems that are beneath the leader that you're becoming. The wave's inside of you. Emmy is how you finally move with it.